Apple recently introduced a strange new sensor inside the latest M3 MacBook Air. But what is it, and how does it work? It's me, and this is the M3 MacBook Air. It's a very capable computer with a great display, fantastic keyboard, and excellent battery life. But there is one thing that I don't understand: this black dot. It looks like a camera, but it's not a camera. And when I first saw this, I thought it was a fingerprint reader, but turns out that's not right either. So what is it? Well, to find out, I did what any good tech journalist would do. I took off the bottom case. Okay, maybe that was a bad idea. But while I had it off, I noticed something strange. This black dot, which by the way is in the exact same position as the touch bar from the previous generation MacBook Pro, seems to be housing a ring of some sort. And if we take a closer look, it appears that this ring is actually made up of individual points. When lit up, each one lights up individually. So here's what we know about this mysterious sensor. It's located at the top of the screen above the display. It's directly in the middle of the MacBook Air's display, which makes sense since it's likely used for face detection. It appears to use infrared light since it's invisible to the human eye. And it's made up of many individual points that can light up independently. So with all of that information, I went ahead and did a little research. And after poring over patent filings, I think I found exactly what this sensor is. Apple has been granted a number of patents for what they refer to as an ambient light and color sensor. And when we look through the patent, it describes a system that uses an array of light detectors to measure the amount of ambient light in the scene as well as its color. And here's where things get interesting. In the patent, Apple describes a system where the processor can dim the display based on the amount of ambient light in the room. But they also describe a system where the processor can change the color of the display based on the ambient lighting. Now, if we go back to the MacBook Air, you'll notice that the display has a slight greenish tint to it. It's because the LED panel is actually emitting a green light. But that's only part of the story. When the display is turned off, you can still see the faint glow from the LEDs. However, when the display is turned on, it completely disappears. That's because the LCD panel is actually emitting light in all colors, but the transistors that control each pixel are only being activated to emit green light. In other words, the MacBook Air has an LCD display, which is similar to an old display in that it can turn off individual pixels to create the appearance of an image. However, unlike old, this panel cannot create red or blue light. Therefore, Apple added a layer to the display that emits red and blue light, allowing it to appear as a normal RGB display. So what does this all mean? Well, if we combine everything that we know about this mysterious sensor, here's my best guess on how it works. Light from the display passes through the LCD panel and is then detected by the sensor. Since the sensor knows the exact color of the light that should be passing through at any given time, it can determine if any light is being blocked, indicating that the display panel has failed or that there is an obstruction in the way. Now, this might seem like a trivial thing, but displays are one of the most delicate components in a laptop. And if this MacBook's display was damaged, it would be catastrophic, since there is no way to replace it without taking the entire thing apart. Now, this is just my best guess based on the information that I could find, but I think it makes a lot of sense. Not only does it explain the purpose of the sensor, but it also explains why it's only in the M3 MacBook Air and not in the M3 MacBook Pro. The MacBook Pro has a much higher-end display that doesn't rely on a backlight, meaning that there's nothing for the sensor to actually detect. Of course, I would love to hear your thoughts on what you think this mysterious sensor is actually used for. Let me know down in the comments below. This is the host with this channel. And if you want to learn how I make videos like these, let me know by tapping the link in the comments.